Hi, this is Trinesha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about Rearview. I don't know why I said it like that, but okay. So, what made me want to call this Rearview is because earlier today I was listening to a message, and let me just be super transparent. At first, this was going to be called It Will Come to Pass. And the more I started thinking about my life and the things I've been through and things that have been happening throughout this journey, it made me think about rear view. It made me think about how, and there was someone who had talked about how they always, when they're thinking about their past, when they're going through things in their life, they most of the time they don't really think about what's behind them because they're just using their rear view mirror to see it when it's time to move forward, or if they're in a good place to keep on moving, if nothing is in their way and they have a chance to merge, to move over, whatever. And so I was like, that's true. Sometimes we really spend so much time thinking about what's behind us or looking back. And if you've seen my little thing that I always use for, looking back and when you need to move forward, I'll always reference, and people are going to think this is weird, but this is me. I always reference a horror movie. And if you don't know, if you're not like a horror movie person or anything like that, you probably don't know. But in horror movies, it's always someone that is being followed by some person. They're followed by this monster, they're followed by, the killer, whoever it is. And so as the person is following them, they're running. And the person in the horror movie, oh my goodness, they always look behind them and they trip over nothing that's there. And so and so when I was doing this video, I felt it like, I don't know where it came from. I don't know how this came about, but I started talking about how, it's so, that's kind of like what we do in life. We look behind us at something that we know is already there, expecting it to be beneficial for our future. We spend so much time looking back at the past, looking back at the things that are behind us, things that we no longer have to go through, that we lose focus and we lose our footing in the future. We need to be keeping our eyes focused on God, keeping our eyes focused ahead so that we can avoid the rock or the empty space that we trip over in real life. And sometimes we just get so beside ourselves. We're so busy looking at somebody else. We're so busy looking in the past at the mistakes that we've made, at the guilt that we felt, at some of the decisions that we've decided to make in our life. And the adversary uses that guilt. He uses those mistakes. He uses those missteps. He uses guilt to make you feel like you're undeserving of your future. But if you continue to look forward and continue to move forward in your life, it'll help you be on the trajectory that God has for you, and not on a rolling backwards on a hill. Because you know it's funny, and I'm putting a lot of analogies and things in here, but listen. I read this book called The Mountain Is You, and sometimes we are our biggest challenge. We literally are the main thing getting in our own way. God is telling us to just keep going forward, keep climbing this mountain, keep on pushing forward, keep doing the things that we need to do, keep staying focused on Him. Just take one foot and put it in front of the other one and keep on walking and walking. Eventually, you will be at the top of the mountain. But a lot of the times we stand in our own way. A lot of the times we're so busy looking back at how far we come and how far ahead we have to go that we don't realize that we're already on a journey, that we don't realize that we're already in the right direction, that we don't realize that we're already on the right position to keep moving forward. We keep on doing that to ourselves. We stop because we see something else in our way. We see something else, down below us. We see something beside us. And instead of us staying focused and continuing to push forward, we just get distracted. And distraction is nothing but the enemy. He will want nothing more for you to steal your joy, to kill your peace, and to destroy your spirit. And if he can't do any three of those, he's going to try to distract you and cause you to drift. Because as long as you don't believe in yourself, you you will never move forward. And the funny thing is that we already have everything we need inside of us. We already have everything we need in our lives to continue to move forward. But we are the ones that hold ourselves back. We're the ones who are so distracted by the things around us that we don't, when we take our focus off God, it'll cause us to stumble. It'll cause us to trip. It'll cause us to not be able to be successful. It'll be the thing that stops us in our tracks. It'll be the thing that holds us back because we didn't stay focused on the vision. We didn't stay focused on God. And so of course, wrote a few notes. This is my notes from today. I don't need to always show it, but I really do write a lot. And that's just one of 2 pages. But yeah, so I'm always writing something. That's kind of what I do. And okay, so in my notes, I did say that. I said, no more looking back at, this is good. I put this, but I'm not saying I'm good, like I'm tooting my own horn. I'm just saying that I didn't realize I wrote this. Sometimes I really get into, like, in my mind, I'll be thinking about something or something will hit my spirit and I'll just start writing and writing and writing. And most of the time I don't realize I wrote it. And then I go do this video and I'm like, oh, okay. Or I'll do this video and I'll, ask God to guide me and help in any way that I possibly can and allow me to stay focused on Him because it's not about me. It's about helping the people. It's about speaking life into the people. I don't, I'm just here as a vessel. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less than a vessel being used for however God sees fit. That's it. I don't want to be anything more. I don't want to be anything less. I want to be exactly what God created me to be. And so, so I put no more looking back at who, what, when, and how. I have to take that experience to move forward because sometimes we'll look at the person who, broke our heart. We'll look at the person who, is the cause of the childhood trauma or whatever else, and we'll let that cause us to stumble. We'll let that cause us to look back instead of continuously looking forward. Everything that we have, we can lay at God's feet. We can literally give it to God, and God will help us heal in the area that we need to heal so that we can move forward in our lives. Sometimes we really make it seem like God can't handle our problem, like our problems are too big for Him, or that it's something that we have to handle on our own. If you're like me, you just want to handle everything. You're like, no, I got this. I don't need help with this. I got this, and you got help everywhere. God then sent like 20 people to help you. And you're like, oh no, I'm fine. I got this. And God's like, listen, I'm not going to keep sending you help and you're going to keep on like just acting like you don't need it. And then you're going to pray and say, oh God, it just seems so hard. I don't know how I can do this by myself. And God is like, I feel like God is the person, like that parent looking at you like, didn't I just give you 20 people to help you? 20 people just asked if you needed help, and now you're going to cry to me saying that you got to do this alone. Like, I feel like that's really how we are in life. God will give us help. He'll introduce people into our life. He will give us the things that we need, like everything that we need in our life. And we will be the ones standing in our own way. We'll be the ones saying, oh, no, no, I don't need help with that. Oh, no, I can't accept that. And the whole time it's a blessing that God was trying to give you. Don't ever block your blessings from yourself. Sometimes we are our biggest. We literally stand in our own way. And God is like, I've been trying to help you the whole time. That's why I introduced Claire into your life. That's why I introduced Susie into your life. That's why I introduced Bob into your life. Because these were going to be people who rallied around you. These were going to be people who were on the sides of you. Yes, I have a barrier of protection around you. Yes, I have, a hedge of protection around you. Yes, I'm here for you and I'm walking with you every step of the way. But in life, nobody does anything alone. Everybody needs somebody. Yes, you need me more than everybody else, but I will introduce people into your life that will be able to help you on this journey. It's not meant for you to walk alone. A lot of people will say, "Oh, if you got a lot of money, there's not going to be anybody around you because people will change on you." No, everybody's constantly changing and evolving. That's what human beings do. It's not about change. It's about you making sure that you are healthy, making sure that you're around the right people. And I'm not saying that you can't be friends with your old friends. I'm saying that you need to make sure that everyone surrounding you is happy that you are doing better. Everyone surrounding you is going to tell you like it is. They're going to be real with you because that's what I want in my life. I want people they're going to be straight, they're going to be a straight shooter with me. Like, the people in my life, they're honest with me. They want me to win. They're honest with me, and they don't mind telling me no or yes. It's not just a bunch of yes people surrounding me like, "Oh, yes, do this. Oh, yes. Yes." They're like, girl." Like, nah, like I feel you. Like I got one friend, I'm not gonna say her name, but I got one friend and she's about that life. Like if we got if we got an issue, if I got an issue, we all got an issue. And she's like I could be dead wrong. And she will tell me I'm wrong. She's not gonna tell me in front of everybody, but she's gonna be like, listen, girl, like no, you are dead wrong for this. And then when we are in public around other people, she would be like, all right, what do we need to do? And I'll be like, you know what, you're right. Like I'll listen to what she says and everything, but if it's if it's a problem, you always have one friend, who's like that and everything. And so it's just so funny. And so I got people in my life like that. People who really are like for me. They're not just gonna just jump on the bandwagon just to make me please me. They're gonna make sure that they're upfront and honest with me, and they're gonna be real with me. And also, they are supportive. They know, like, hey, I want to see you win. Hey, if you're winning, we're all winning, and it's true because if I'm winning and I got it like that, I'm not just gonna like feed into anybody's habits or anything like that, or just like try to be like the out for people. But if we're doing something and I have an event at the house or we're going somewhere, I might be the person who's like, okay, well, we're all going somewhere. Let's all meet up and we'll go this place. And when we go there, I might be the person that pays for like the appetizer or something. I might do something where I book something and we go somewhere and then all of us just enjoy it. And yes, they do their own thing and they may spend money on their own doing something else. But if I'm hosting something, I try to make sure that I am, being a good host. I'm making sure that we're all winning. It's not just like oh, I get to live like this and everybody else is like, oh, okay, whatever, do whatever you want. Like if I'm doing good, everybody is going to be doing good. And I don't mean I'm taking care of anybody. I mean that I will have the option to do it. I mean that if we're somewhere, we're doing something. So like there's this person online who said something that was pretty cool, and I don't know, I feel like this and I don't feel like this at the same time. But instead of me like going somewhere where I don't want to go, like one of the things one of my family members really wants to do is one Thanksgiving they want to go away. They don't want to go any extravagant place. They just want to go like within driving distance, like a few hours away to an area, and they want to rent out a house and they want to have Thanksgiving there. So if I got it like that, and I know this is something this person aspires to have, and they've been there for me my entire life, I'm probably going to make it happen, like something like that. I wouldn't mind doing. Now, if it's somebody who just spends all their money, throwing all their money away on something frivolous that they don't need, and they come to me like, hey, I need help because I spent all my money that God just blessed me with, I'm not the one. I'm just not. And you can say it's cold hearted, you can say it's rude, you can say it's disrespectful, whatever, call it what you want. I'm just not that person. And so, I mean, people could say it's rude, but listen, I'm trying to be a good steward of the things that God blesses me with. I'm not trying to feed anybody's habit. I'm not trying to reward anybody's bad behavior. And I'm not saying every person is going to be perfect. I don't expect any human being to ever be perfect. But I also like when you are living this God life, you really have to have healthy standards and boundaries for yourself. Like a lot of people get it twisted. I know that's like an old term, but I couldn't think of anything else in the moment. So a lot of people get it twisted and they will think because you're Christian, that means you let people walk all over you and you just lay down and take everything. And you just are kind to people and you smile and you just take it all. And that's not what being Christ-like is at all. Being Christ-like is being about that God life. Like if Jesus Christ had standards and he was flipping over tables in the synagogue because people were gambling and fighting and doing everything else, then I'm going to have standards in my life. I know I want to be treated the way that God wanted me to be treated. I know that when I'm certain places, I'm not always going back and forth with a fool, but I'm absolutely not going to just lay there and just be somebody's, walking mat, something that somebody steps on, a doormat. That's what I was thinking of. Why did I say walking mat? Anyways, I'm not going to be somebody's doormat. And like I said, I'm not always just like ready for a disagreement or anything like that. And I do try to be, peaceful for the most part. But if I need to be about it, or if I need to step up for myself, if I need to love myself in that moment, if I have to have a healthy standard or boundary, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. Me allowing somebody to be the worst that they can be towards me is not me helping them be a better person. And it's not me loving myself. God loves me so much. And because of God's love, I know how I want to love myself. I know that I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. I want to make sure I'm speaking life into myself. I want to make sure that I am appreciating, being grateful and thankful for the life that I have. And I'm not allowing people to treat me worse than God would ever intend for me to be treated in my life. And I know some people are going to argue, well, God, Jesus went and he, let somebody beat him up, or let him, he allowed himself to go before trial and be hung on a cross and all the other stuff. Listen, that was a choice for our sins. That does not mean he did not have standards and boundaries. That means that he was willing to sacrifice something for us. Everything else in his life, Jesus was about that life. Like, when I imagine Jesus, I'm not gonna say this because people are gonna be like so offended. But listen, when I picture Jesus, I pictured a strong man who just was about it. He was about it. Like, he was really like, okay, like, woman, can't you see I'm about my father's business? Like, he just was about it. And so when I think of the person that I'm trying to be, if I'm trying to be Christ-like, I'm trying to be serving, obedient, disciplined, with healthy standards and boundaries, loving myself, and respecting and honoring God. Because me respecting myself is me respecting and honoring God. Me treating my body as a temple. The things that I eat, the things that I put on, or in my body that I ingest, whatever. I'm making sure that I am really being kind and patient and loving, and I'm not keeping records of wrong or being boastful or envious. I'm being everything that God would intend for me to be. And am I perfect? Absolutely not. Like, please don't think that I could ever in a million years be perfect. But I'm going to try to be the best that I can be. I'm going to try to be better every single day. I'm going to try to do the best that I can. And when I say healthy standards and boundaries for people, I mean men, I mean romantic, I mean friendships, I mean work, I mean everything. And I don't always do the right thing. Sometimes some people slip through the cracks. And it's not that I don't want to be treated better. It's that sometimes when I'm going through spiritual warfare, sometimes I get exhausted. This hair is like really tickling me. It's like going right in my collar, and it's not cool. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But listen, you got to do what you got to do. And so, but yeah, there's some people. Sometimes I'll be so exhausted with spiritual warfare, or, the adversary will just be weighing heavy on me. Like, he'll be like, you're not this, you're not that, you can't do this, you can't do that. And he'll just keep going at me. And every time it gets real strong, I know God has something better for me. I know that there's something that God is getting ready to do in my life that is so amazing. And it's like, anytime, it's like, the adversary knows when something good is about to happen in your life, when God is about to tremendously bless you. And I say tremendously because every day I wake up, I'm already blessed. Every day that I'm working or have the ability to work, I'm blessed. Every day that I have the ability to breathe in and out is God's grace and mercy. Every time I have the ability to see when not everyone sees, smell, hear, taste, every time that I get the ability to walk and use my legs, use my feet, every time I get the ability to write, type, whatever it is, that I get to do with my limbs. Everything is functioning on the inside and the outside the way that God intended for it to be functioning in its proper form. Every time I get a chance to do any of those things, and that's just me. That's not even counting a house that God provides shelter for me for. That's not including the car that gets me from point A to point B, that I get to drive these different places to go. That's not including the fact that I have a place of employment and I get to do my business. That's not even including the fact that I have a happy, healthy child that's smart and brilliant and intelligent and everything that I could ever imagine. Like, when I first had her, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know why God is blessing me with this child. Like, I know that sounds weird, but I was really like, I'm not perfect at all. I don't know why God decided, but I was like, thank you, God. I really had to switch it up because, for real. And friends and family, you know, I have friends and family members who are really like, I couldn't ask for better people in my life. I really, really couldn't. I'm not about to cry. I'm gonna really try not to cry in this video because I got the full face makeup on and I'm not trying to have like streaks. I don't know if that will happen because I haven't cried with this makeup on yet, but it could. And so, but that's just a few things. That's not even including, like, I didn't even list everything. This is just how vast the list is of God's blessings that he's poured into and on me, and not even including the things that I don't know about, the rooms that I wasn't in that God put my name in, the rooms that the people who know me, who wouldn't have even known me without God mentioning me to them. It's just, God is just so good. And even the people who God protected me from, the relationships, the, friendships, whatever it is that God removed from my life on my behalf. And it's not to say that that person is bad or good. It's just saying that that person was in grace for my life and I was in grace for their life. So I have to be clear in stating that because sometimes we like to paint people as a big bad wolf, or like make it seem like everything is all good or all bad. Sometimes it's not beneficial for your life. Sometimes God has something better for you. And it's not saying one person is better than the other. It's just saying that one person is more grace for you than the other. It's just saying that God knows what you need and not what you want. So you might want this friend in your life, but you don't get anything done when you're friends with this person because you stay on the phone for hours. You might say you want this guy, and the whole time you are completely distracted and you're feeling like crap because he he hits all of your insecurity points. It's just something about him. He just knows exactly what to do to make you feel worthless, and the more you stay, the more worthless you're going to feel. You're not going to just feel better because you get to be with this person. You're going to have to really decide and acknowledge the fact, take accountability and know that you have a choice. In the last video, talked about us giving some guys, some women more credit than they're due. Like, a lot of the times it's our responsibility to make the best decisions for our lives. It's not up to them to decide what position they want to be placed in our life. It's our decision to decide what we are worth, what our value is, what we will and will not tolerate. We can't just accept everybody in because they're a person. If that was the case, God would let everybody be a part of your life. If that was the case, God would have you be with all your exes, But they're exes for a reason. They're people in the past for a reason. If he wanted them to be a part of your future, they will be there, and you don't have to do the most to get them there because everything that's appointed for you is for you and nobody can take that away from you. Whether it's a position, a friendship, a romantic relationship, whatever it is in your life. If you're supposed to be on that jet, you're going to be on that jet. And I'm not saying this in a materialistic way, I'm just saying this to drive the point home. If you're supposed to be in a mansion, you're going to be in a mansion. It doesn't matter how many people own the house before you, you're going to get it. If you're supposed to be with that guy, it might not be the right season, and don't do the most to try to get him, because if he's for you, he's for you. You don't have to be doing the most to get him. I promise you that. All you have to do is be yourself and stay focused on God. And if he's for you, God will spin the block. And if he's not for you, God will introduce you to someone who's better for you. Someone who you will be able to be focused. Like, yes, you'll think about them, but you will focus on your purpose in life. you will actually feel better about yourself. Your trauma bonds won't be trying to connect you. It'll be something better, something greater, and that's God, And I'm saying this, and when people watch this, sometimes people will be like, "Are you in a relationship?" And I'm like, "No, I'm single." And they'll be like, "Well, how do you know this?" Listen, I just, I can't explain it, but I just feel like if God's in something, the way that I feel with God is how I'm gonna feel in a kingdom relationship. They're not ever going to be God. They're not going to give me peace in my life. God gives me that. They're not going to, I might be joyous or get joy from the relationship because it's blessed by God and graced by God. But they will never be able to step into God's shoes. But when I think of a relationship that's graced by God, the kingdom spouse, I really, in my heart of hearts, I don't know if I should say heart or soul or spirit or what, but let's say spirit. In my spirit, I really truly feel like that person would make me feel safe and seen. I would feel safe because they would be protecting me, and protecting doesn't mean that they got to be ready to knock and buck every day. It just means like I would feel I don't want to say secure because God is the only one that gives me security. And with or without them, I'm going to be secure in God. I just mean, I don't know, just the sense of contentment. And I don't mean content and settling. I mean, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, it just makes sense. I don't know how to explain it, but I was doing this thing and I was like trying to visualize what my future was going to look like. And God kind of showed me how I would feel with the person that I'm going to be with. And I don't know if this is weird. I don't know if everybody does this or goes through this, but this is just what happened to me. And I'm not trying to say I'm different from anybody else or anything. Like, I feel like everybody can have a relationship with God for real. And so I'm sitting there and I'm having a moment with God and I'm just trying to think of what my future is going to look like or what I would want for my future. And I always consult with God and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, God, what is my future going to look like? These are the things that I want in my life, but I want to see what it is that you want for my life, not just me. And I don't need like a blueprint of what my future is going to look like or a guide or the whole picture. I'm just trying to visualize where I should be heading, so that I can continue to step one foot in front of the other and on the path that God already laid forth for me. And I might not know like when or where or how, but I'll know this. And so as I was sitting there having a moment, just thinking about trying to visualize my dream life, trying to visualize my future, I started getting this feeling of like what this person is gonna feel like. And I don't have my notes in here. I have another notebook that I write in every day that has a lot of notes in it as well. So this isn't the only one. But so I'm sitting there and I just have this sense of like grace all over us. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but it just feels like, I don't know, contentment. It really feels content and like grace is all over the relationship. It really feels like, I have the peace of God. And because I have a yes from God, it makes me feel content. I keep saying content, but that's the only word that I can think of. And it just, mm-mm-mm. It just, I know I had this song in my head too that I think of when I think of the relationship. And it makes me feel so peaceful because it's from God. And so that's how I feel like I would feel with this person. I would feel safe because God would be all over it. You know, I would feel seen because they would really see me for what God created me to be for them, not just like, oh, I'm just another person. And yes, they'll still have eyes to see things in life. I just mean, I just mean that, they can really see me. I don't know if that makes any sense, but whatever. And so a good way to stop looking in the rear view, to stay focused on God, is to visualize, like I was just talking about. and visualize what your future is going to look like, what's your dream life, what's your goal, create a vision board. And I know I say that and you hear so many people say create a vision board, but it's because it works. When you write down, I see what God did there. When you write down your vision and make it plain, okay, all right, then it's just in the simplest form. It will help you be able to see your life. It'll help you visualize what God has for your future. And one very, very, very important thing, when you are thinking of your dream life, when you're thinking about the life that you aspire to have, when you're thinking about visualizing your goals and your dreams and your wants, whatever else it is in your life, please consult with God. Seriously. Like, don't just create a whole plan for your life and then be disappointed because that didn't happen the way that you wanted it to. God has a plan for your life. So when you're writing down your vision, consult with God and make sure that God is showing you what He wants you to do so that you don't end up having this unrealistic standard for the life that you want to live when it's not what you need in your life. It's not what God wants for you. He has so much better for you than this. And sometimes we will think about the relationship that we didn't get or other things in our life that didn't work out the way we wanted. Like, I'm in a totally different place in my life than I thought I would ever be in my entire life, but I'm still blessed. I'm still exactly where God intended for me to be. I'm still single the way that God intended for me to be in this season. And when God sends my kingdom spouse, I'll be ready. It won't be premature. It won't be because I had to be 25, in 6 months to meet the guy that's going to be my husband and have 3 kids or whatever else. Like, that's not God's plan. That's my plan. So you got to really consult with God and see what He wants for your life. Like, God's probably saying, okay, I want you to be 29, 30 years old, and I want you to, however old you are, I want you to be your age and single in the season because I need to teach you so many things about yourself so that you don't bring it into the kingdom relationship because my son deserves the best. He deserves my best for him, not you at your worst. And you would be doing a disservice to yourself and him if I gave you him prematurely, if I give you him before you're ready. I can't give you, this, like, it's kind of like you're baking some food or something. You don't want, and this is usually for chicken or turkey. You usually don't want your chicken or turkey raw on the inside. You want it well cooked throughout. You want it well done throughout the entire meat. It's not like a steak. So when God is preparing you, you want to make sure there's no pink in the middle. You want to make sure that you are literally well done. Okay. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Yeah. But you want to make sure that you get all the ingredients, all the seasonings, everything from every season. You want to have it so that when you get to the position where you are with someone, you will be ready. Because if God gives you your kingdom spouse prematurely, that's really the adversary's gift. And he's only gifting it to you because he wants to show other people another failing relationship. That's not what I want. I want what God wants for me. I want to be ready. I want to be in the right position, in the right headspace. I want to, get rid of all those things that are still lingering over, around, or in my heart. I want to make sure that I'm in a position that God wants me to be in a position to be with somebody like that. I would never want some God to give me someone prematurely either. Like, this guy still hasn't dealt with whatever the issue is. And I'm not saying he's going to come to me like flawless and perfect. Only God is perfect, but he will come to me the way that God intended for him to be when we are in a position when we meet each other. So I definitely completely understand that. And also, I have to say this because a lot of people feel like, oh, when I meet the person, then my life begins. No, your life is starting right now. As long as you're breathing in and out, you got a life to live. You have things that you have to do. God is telling you to do things. God has purposed you here for a reason, in this position for a reason. Take this moment, take this season, and run with it. Do all the things that God intends for you to do before you meet the person. And when you meet the person, you will have even more blessings. There will be even more assignments that God will assign to you. So don't feel like you got to wait for anything. And when you are in your relationship, because we always have these ideas in our mind, like, oh, when I get to this point, then that's when life starts. Or when I get to this point, then it's this and the end. No, it's not the end. Another beginning of another chapter of your life. And while you're in that chapter of your life, you need to appreciate that season as much as you appreciate the single season. And in every season that you appreciate, as long as you're appreciating your life, you're appreciating where you are and where you're headed, God will continue to bless you and He will continue to be with you every step of the way. So you need to make sure that you know that that's not just the end of your story. You don't just meet the person, live happily ever after in the end. No, you meet the person, you put in real work, you can communicate, you can consistently work on yourself still, just like you did in your single season, but this time you're working on it in a relationship stance. You are you are constantly growing, evolving, becoming better every day, just like you were in your single season. And now it's another person added to it. So a lot of people want a marriage or relationship because they feel like, oh, I just really want to be with somebody. I'm going to ask you like God asked me. You want to be with somebody, and then what? If your answer is then we're going to live happily ever after, you need to do some more work, because that's what God made me do. So I want everybody to do the real work. But seriously, like, when God really broke it down to me, the reasons why I would want to be in a relationship or don't want to be in a relationship, it was really just like worldly reasons, for real. It wasn't a real reason. Like, I didn't want to be with anybody because I thought it was going to be miserable and it was going to be all about the other person. They were never going to care about me. They were never going to treat me right. I was just going to be with this person just to be with somebody, just to go to events with them some places, that I didn't want to go by myself. That's literally what I thought a relationship was and why I wanted to be single. And then when I thought about being in a relationship in the past, I was just being codependent and I just didn't want to be by myself. So I wanted to be in a relationship just for that reason. Not because I wanted to be with a person because I liked them, because, they were good for me, because they had good core values, because they believed in God and we were equally yoked. It was none of those things. It was all the wrong reasons. And now, like, when God asked me the reason why I want to be in a relationship, it's because I want to benefit the kingdom of God. I want to be an example. I want to live the way that Christ intended for me to live. I want to live out my purpose and, speaking life into people, and whatever our marriage does to help other people. I want to do that. And I want to die to myself every day. I want to be completely selfless. Selfless. Why did I say selfish? But I want to be completely selfless. And I want to be, the type of person, and in my life too, while I'm single, I want to be selfless. I do want to have self-care. I want to love myself, things like that. But I definitely want to be intentional about serving and helping other people. And when God sends the person into my life, I want to continue to be selfless. I don't want it to just be all about me. Like, I know it sounds weird to say that, but every time I pray to God, I'm always praying for Him to keep me humble, because you never know when your situation is going to change. You never know. And I don't mean for the worse, like in a financial stance or anything like that. I just mean life is always changing. And no matter what level God takes me to, I always want to be humble. I always want to be serving. I always want to be helping somebody else besides myself. I'm not just living my life for me. I'm living my life for the glory of the kingdom. And if I'm doing things that are benefiting God, then that means I'm helping somebody else. It doesn't mean it's all about me. I'm not just about to ball out of control just because I got it like that. I'm about to help in any way I can with other people in an area that God guides me to. That's what I'm trying to do with my life. And so, in conclusion, I'm going to probably have to pin my hair up or something, because this is not going to work. I can't keep doing this all day. And I thank you for allowing me to wear my hair like this. I'm not trying to complain. And so, in conclusion, whenever you think about looking behind you at the things in your past, at the things that you messed up on, your missteps, your mistakes, anything that you've done wrong to someone else, or even bad decisions that you've made in your past, which is your missteps and your mistakes, but everything from the past, childhood trauma, whatever. Take it to God, leave it at His feet, and keep moving forward. Your life is meant to be lived. It's not meant to be, stagnant or have you drifting through life. Life is meant for you to be intentionally stepping one foot in front of the other and moving forward, staying focused on God and allowing Him to lead you the rest of the way. You know you can do this. You really can do anything you put your mind to. And you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Look up the whole verse, please. Don't just take that and be like, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and then that's it. Like, we like to take these little snippets of the Bible and like little verses or quotes or whatever and just be like, oh, this is me. Like, I I had this one quote that I used to say all the time about my body being a temple, and I had no idea that it said more than that until I started reading the Bible. And so and I know people will laugh and they'll probably get on me and everything else, but how many scriptures do you quote and you never read the whole chapter, or you never really looked into what this is really talking about at all? You just kind of go with it because you heard somebody else say it. That's kind of what I did. And so I had no idea that it said my body is a temple that's, it's God, it belongs to God. Like, I was like, that's true. I mean, God created me, so that makes sense. But I never read the whole, never really dug deep. I never really really dove into that. So definitely reference check your biblical scripture, your terms, your verses, everything that you are quoting or you're hearing out in the world, because some people, they like to interpret the Bible in their own way and use it for their benefit. And if you're using scriptures to speak life into yourself or to help you in certain areas, it's good to know where the story comes from, or good to know what you're fighting, how you're going to be able to fight against this thing, especially when you're in mental, spiritual, and psychological warfare. You don't want to just say a verse and then it's like, oh, okay, well, this was referring to blah. You want to make sure that it's something you can implement in your life so it can help you fight this battle, because every day you have to pick up your cross and follow Him. Every day you have to put on your full armor of God. Like, the adversary's not taking any days off. So the more the more geared up you are, the more weapons you got on you, the better. And I mean that spiritually. I mean that for real. Like, you need to be about that God life for real. And the best way to armor up is through scripture, time with God, prayer, and just making sure that you are being better than you were a minute ago, an hour ago, yesterday, last week, last year. Like, you don't want to be the same person every single day. That means you're never changing or evolving or growing. That means that you are just staying stagnant the way that the adversary wants you to. And you have to continue on in life, especially if you want to have all of the things that God has for you. He's not going to be able to give you some things at the level that you're staying at. He's going to be able to give you some things the more you advance on. So I'm trying to stay focused and do the things that God intends for me to do. I can't look back anymore. That man is gone. That thing that I used to have in the past, that job, whatever, all that stuff that is not for me is in the past. It's gone. It's over with. It's no reason for it to even be in my mouth. There's no reason for it to even be in my ear gate. There's no reason for it to even be in my eye line. Like, I'm trying to see what God has for my future. I'm trying to hear the things that are speaking life into me. I'm trying to speak life into others. I don't want any of those things on my mind, body, or soul that do not mean me any good. I'm trying to have things in my life that are benefiting me, things that are to prosper me, not to harm me. I don't want to live a life like that. I'm trying to live a peaceful life. And I can't move forward holding on to the things of the past.